Assalamu alaikum. We are passing through difficult times, and we have to be familiar with that. If we have a patient who is stable and is what are his chances of destabilizing, whether under observation in the ward or maybe at home at this COVID pandemic. So there are no fancy thing involved in assessing a patient that who are on verge of being uh, decompensating or desaturating, and if you pay attention to some simple physical signs which are observed by nurse, by junior most member of the team, or even medical students, and if you pay attention to that and you make a track record of these things, you can identify this patient which are likely to get, say, risk or at risk of developing complication. So this has been presentation has been derived from uh, primarily what is practiced in NHS UK, and how do they stratify the patients at risk. The second component of this presentation, prepared by one of our colleague, Dr. Wafa, is on primarily how to deal with the patients with suspected or diagnosed COVID, and what is the various strategies we can adopt for that. So first, we'll be talking about uh, monitoring of the patients, routine monitoring and paying attention to physical sign, and what we call as a medical emergency warning scoring system. That if you give a particular score to a particular physical sign, you can identify the patient risk. So this is what we call modified early warning score. It is nothing very complex. It's just a track and trigger scoring based on your routine observations. All patients should have their vital signs scored, and these are converted into some kind of a score. The higher this score is, the more disturbed the vital signs are likely to be. When recording routine observation of your patient, you definitely in your routine morning observations, or whatever, how frequently you are monitoring those, you record their pulse, you record their respiratory rate, you also record temperature and urine output sometimes if your patient is catheterized, or you can ask simply that is he pouring normal urine or not, and then of course the blood pressure. Now, these are the things which are can be observed or noted in any sick patient who needs a bit of attention. And finally, you add to it your patient's conscious level as well. So we'll speak one by one, and then we'll say that how this simple observation can be converted into a kind of a score to predict the patient at risk. Conscious level we usually assess either in the form of AVPU system or GCS or Glasgow Coma Scale. The AVPU system is more simple, that in A, your patient is alert, or your patient is responding to verbal commands, or your patient responds to pain only, or your patient is unresponsive. Same, you can also apply this Glasgow Coma Scale to score this conscious level assessment. Now we'll come on to that how we use this Muse system. This is a very simple table, right? And the center of this table shows a white column where the score is written as 0, and on either side of it, on the right or left, when it's deviating. Onto the right side when the things are going up, and on the left side when the things are going down. So what you are recording is you are recording blood pressure, pulse, respiratory rate, temperature, conscious level, either in the form of AVPU or GCS scoring, and the urine output. Someone with the blood pressure in the range of 101 to 199, pulse in the range of 51 to 100, a respiratory rate in the range of 9 to 14, and a temperature of 36.1 to 38, who is alert and has a GCS of 15, is a normal say person or is having a score of 0. But when it goes up or down, then you can score it as the score 1, 2, and 3. Will be elaborating in next say table. Now, this is any vital signs within these parameters. Likely, if his blood pressure goes down to say 81 to 100, or his pulse drops between 40 to 51, or temperature is 31 to 36, and he start responding to voice only, it would be scored as 1. And on the other side, he gets tachycardic, he has a respiratory rate of between 15 to 20 or has gone up, and is febrile 38.1 to 38.5. Is agitated or confused, or GCS has dropped to 14. Again, it would be scored 1. Right. So each one of these say component would be having a score of 1. When the score, there is a further deterioration that the pulse systolic blood pressure drops to between 71 to 100, 80, sorry. This pulse drops to less than 40, or respiratory drops to less than 8. Patient becomes hypothermic. He just responds to pain only, and his urine output starts dropping if it's catheterized to 20 ml per hour. And this would be, each one of these items would be scored as 2. On the higher side, any blood pressure of more than 200, or pulse rate of 110 to 130, a respiratory rate of 21 to 29, a temperature above 38.6, and a GCS between 9 to 13 would be considered as score 2 for each. And this means that we have to have complete set of observations and calculate the total mu score. When systolic blood pressure would drop to less than 70, sometimes you may not even have a palpable pulse, you may not be having a respiratory rate to be counted, or patient becomes apneic, or patient is totally unresponsive and urine output is less than 10. Each one of this would be then scored as 3. And similarly, a systolic blood pressure, in fact, a tachycardia of more than 131, a respiratory rate of more than 30, and a GCS of less than 8 would again be scored as 3. So in summary, a score of 2 in any category indicates need for clotrimazole. So suppose this score is 2 in either in plus pulse or blood pressure or respiration or say urine output. So this would be indicating that the patient needs a more close observation. This is a sort of a warning that your patient is not well, and he may be ill. However, he may not be showing signs of deterioration as yet. So in this patient, you probably have to have another repeat observation, and it will pick your further deterioration. So how soon after this first observation this should be repeated? Probably it would be 30 minutes would be a more appropriate time to repeat these observations if the score is 2 or has gone down from 1 to 2. Any score of 4 and or a drop in score of 2 or more indicates that your patient is unwell and means that urgent medical attention is required. And of course, for that you have to follow up your institutional policies, that at what score, which system or which to be triggered, and which person to be involved in decision making as well. Medical assessment or a continuous medical assessment or evaluation to the cause of this disturbance in pulse, blood pressure is mandatory, and that has to be done by qualified medical personnel. This identification helps us to refer the patient in time, right? And of course, you can start intervening or start correcting the disturbed physiology early, and you can probably save your patients. How this simple observations can be helpful. It can improve the quality of patient observation as well as monitoring. It is easier to communicate between team to team that you in the morning You received a patient who had a Muse score of 0 and has gone on to 2, and you can convey to the team taking charge that you probably have to pay more attention to the person who is having a drop in Muse score. Of course, it will give you a timely decision to either shift your patient to a more aggressive management area like an HDU or ICU. It would also help your medical judgment, and it would also help in securing appropriate assistance for the sick patients. And it gives you an indication of physiological trends which are happening in that very patients. And it is a sensitive indicator of an abnormal physiology which is responsible for all this. Why we need it? The data has shown that 69% of admissions to the intensive therapy units occur late in the development of critical illness, meaning by that only 30% of the patients approximately are referred in time when something can be done for these patients, but 70% are late. And then again, if you observe the data from the ITU, 41% of the admission in the intensive therapy units could be avoided if early intervention on the floor can be started, and the patient may need not to be shifted to this intensive therapy units. The frequency of these observation depends upon the initial assessment, and of course, it should be part of the treatment orders or nursing care orders. It's usually a routine that we do check the vital signs of all admitted patient, maybe every 12 hourly, unless there is a clear order that they have to be recorded more frequently. This can be, in fact, this should be written on the charts that the vital signs. And the more important thing is that it is not just that someone say record those vital signs and the information required, and does not think that whether they are deviating from the initial assessment or they are same or improving, because it just spending a few seconds onto the comparison of these signs recorded earlier would point out that the patient is probably getting sick. You must use your clinical judgment to decide that if patient should be in a more frequent observations, or he would be maybe just a routine twice a day recording of those signs. The reason to shift a patient from 12 hourly recording to an 8 hourly recording or a 6 hourly or 1 hourly must be documented on the notes as well. Which patient should be included? Of course, anyone who is admitted from the emergency is likely to have a very, say, rapid change in his physiology. So all emergency admissions should be initially put on a Muse scoring till they are stable. All unstable patients which say deteriorate on the floor in the under your observation should be included in that. Of course, we are concerned about our patient, and you think that things don't look well for this patient. They should be monitored more frequently. And of course, if you have noted that the frequency observation has increased, so probably that again should be included in Muse rather than just a routine observations. Sometimes most of the catastrophes occur when you shift your patient from a more intensive monitoring critical area back to the floor. And that's the period where these patients usually are taken as they have recovered and are not as closely monitored as they were being monitored in intensive therapy units. So this is these patients, when they are stepped down from a critical care unit to ward or floor, they should again be observed more frequently. Similarly, the patient with the chronic health problems, so those who are previously diabetic or hypertensive or a heart disease, even a slightest of change in their physiology may shift them from a very stable or compensated state of heart failure or renal failure or diabetes control to a very unstable situation. And if early intervention is not done, these patients, we may lose these patients. Similarly, those patients who are not improving with the best of your management, they should again be reviewed and thought of to be included in more close observation program. Now, why it is important and how it can help us. This is just something, if you understand that someone who is destabilizing and having a abnormal physical signs, they may be going into a state of a shock. And if you identify early and correct early, you can possibly avoid further complications and the downhill course, which as it happens in. So we'll just review that how this shock physiology works, and then we'll talk about more about it. So what is shock? Shock is a complex process which results from multiple organ failure and finally may end up in death. Uh, we all are familiar with that how this shock is classified. It is either as a result of a fluid loss or hypovolemic shock, maybe because of diarrhea, vomiting, poor intake, and so many other causes of hypovolemia, right? It may be because of heart being unable to pump adequately. This is cardiogenic shock. It may be that fluid is in wrong places, or it is distributive, or there's a lot of vasodilatation, and this vasodilatation has increased the capacitance of the venous system, and less blood in the say vascular arterial system, and this would might lead on to septic shock. Now, these are various kinds of types of shock. When someone starts developing shock or is going into shock, there is a critical time of an 8 hours. Within those 8 hours, if you intervene and you try to correct this shock by if the patient requires inotropic support in the case of cardiogenic shock, he requires replacement of fluid in case of hypovolemic shock, or he may require say antibiotics along with timely use of administration of antibiotics along with some inotropic support and maybe sometimes steroids as well, so you can avoid it. If there's an 8-hour window from the onset of shock to say onset of what is called as an irreversible state of shock, where when delayed intervention is done, the results are not very fruitful. So the maximum chances of recovery of patients in shock are if you intervene within 8 hours of its onset. So if your Muse scoring picks up those patients who are at risk and the early intervention is done, the late say complications and morbidity and mortality associated with it can be avoided. So after if this goes unchecked or undetected for 8 hours, the likelihood of recovery decreases. There are 4 stages of shock we all familiar with. There is an initial stage, there is a compensatory stage, there is a progressive stage, and finally there is a refractory stage. The initial stage, what happens? During this stage, the blood supply to the tissue is reduced. This reduced blood supply to the tissues results in anaerobic say respiration. The tissues work at a low level of oxygen, and oxygen being the main source of energy. So this in an attempt to maintain hemostasis, the cells switch to say anaerobic respiration, and this anaerobic respiration results in accumulation of acid, lactic acidosis starts in, and this may further be harmful to the tissues. In this stage, when the shock has just started, whatever the cause, whether it's hypovolemic, whether it's cardiogenic, whether it's just the onset of, right, there may be just a slight heart rate increase. There may be slight increase in respiration, maybe even not noticeable by patient, or even may not be by the physician as well. The blood pressure may not change at all, or maybe as a result of activation of the catecholamine adrenergic system, or as a result of release of cortisol, there may be slight increase in fact to begin with. Skin, of course, as a result of this vasoconstriction mediated through the adrenaline and catecholamines, may feel cool to touch, unless your patient is already having a cause, septic cause of infection, and maybe febrile. So this sign then may not be very prominent. Again, urinal output would not be any different at this stage, and conscious level is unchanged depending upon the cause of the shock. If your patient is already admitted with some alteration of conscious level as a primary cause, like maybe meningitis or encephalitis, it may not hold true that the conscious level will not change. Then there is a stage of compensatory stage. In the compensatory stage, there is a compensation part of body that tend to redo the things. The heart rate increases, blood is forced away from the peripheral circulation to the main organs. There are, as we already mentioned, release of hormones in the bloodstream, which tend to retain fluid. In order to neutralize acid, which is accumulation of lactic acidosis, the respiratory system tried to compensate by increasing the respiratory rate and washing out carbon dioxide. And in this stage, which is a stage of compensation, the heart rate has gone up. Blood pressure still may be a bit higher. The respiratory rate will be higher because of say compensatory attempt on part of lungs to get rid of acids in the form of carbon dioxide. Urine output would start to be slightly decreased, and the patient may demonstrate signs of panic or maybe slight confusion. Now, we have to bear in mind that a previously healthy person may be able to cope this stage for a few hours, but those who are already at the verge of decompensation, patient with chronic illness, patient with diabetes, patient with heart failure, patient with COPD, they may not be able to cope with this for very long. So you need to have a prompt action. Then there is a stage which is more progressive. This is the stage where the compensation of the body starts failing. There is not enough energy to keep cells working. At this point, even an extra oxygen given, patient's cells cannot utilize it. Right? Every organ and system starts to fail. And at this point, patient does not receive critical care input. It is very unlikely that they would survive. In this stage, when the heart rate would start decreasing, blood pressure would slowly become so low that it may be unrecordable. The respiratory rate may be so fast and sometimes may be irregular, or the patient may start gasping for breath. Urine output would decrease markedly, and the patient at this stage is likely to be in and out of consciousness, or maybe have alteration of his conscious level, and he may not be starting from, say, initially the alert patient, now may be totally unresponsive. to any kind of stimulus. Then there is a stage when it becomes refractory, that even whatever is done, there is nothing undoing things. The body becomes unresponsive to therapy and the shock is considered irreversible. Regardless of the cause, death is due to body circulation failing to meet oxygen requirements of the cell. And what we call the tissue respiration or tissue oxygenation does not take place. So patient who is showing signs of deterioration needs quick assessment. This simple observation system or scoring system which we mentioned, which is nothing any rocket science, it does not involve much of investigations, it does not involve much of lab investigations or other things, just a simple observation which are routinely done by nurses or junior medical staff, but only you need to pay attention and may convert into a score, that this score the patient has gone down on this mu score from this 3 to 2 or a rapid change from of a 2 needs an urgent attention, and you can activate whatever the system is being practiced at your institute. A score of total score of 4 or a drop of 2 means that you have to call for assistance, and you have to follow the flow chart and contact the relevant medical staff. The vital signs and the actions which you take could be that you should be recording your observation regularly on the Muse chart. If you're concerned, you calculate the total Muse score and record this score. And of course, if you notice any deviation from the baseline or a drop of more than 2 in any of the observation, you promptly take some action. Documentation of all this is very important, and of course you have to have a teamwork that particularly when you take this changeover takes place, the most of the say catastrophes do occur at that time because of patient not being handed over properly without any say previous observations to be, or at least identifying the sick patient to the one who is taking over the care for the next 4 to 6 hours. Of course, an early intervention of fluids in patients who are developing hypovolemia, oxygen supplementation by various type of masks, which could be nasal mask or venturi mask, and of course you will be following their oxygen saturation and the ABG's results as well. You will continue to have regular observations of these improvement or deterioration, and if you trigger a mu and ask more frequent observation, there may be change to hourly or maybe every 30 minutes, and you have to have a check on the fluid balance. In intensive care setup, you may institute both and pass a central venous line to measure that you are not overfilled the vascular system, and of course you will also be putting on a urinary catheter to record the hourly urine output, that whether the kidneys are getting adequate perfusion or not. Sometimes it's helpful that you just position your patient correctly and it improves their oxygenation. Someone in pulmonary edema would be better if it is placed in a semi-reclining position with 2 or 3 pillows behind it, and they are better in sitting off. And in current situation of this COVID pneumonias, where this is not much of a cardiogenic pulmonary edema, rather than it's more of a either say widespread pneumonia or an ARDS, putting them in a prone position is recommended, and that it aids in improving their oxygenation. These patients, when they start this deteriorating, they are quite anxious, and you have to judiciously use anxiolytics in these patients because, but of course, you would not be prescribing benzodiazepine someone who is already have respiratory failure or respiratory rate is going down. But relieving the anxiety relieves a bit of tachycardia and bit of uh, controls the sympathetic overdrive and may be beneficial. Then using this score, you consider that when this patient is to be transferred from a simple uh, routine medical floor or ward to and more uh, dependent area where more close observation given like HDU or ICU or critical care area. Who performs this scoring? Anyone, starting from a medical student to a nurse to a junior doctor or right. But it is more important that when you perform this observation and go through this exercise, this is documented and this is communicated to the your teammates as well as to the someone senior, so that if a prompt action is required, and there are few actions which can be taken there and then by the junior most person, like positioning, setting up an oxygen, starting an IV line, starting fluids. If not contraindicated, that can be done by the junior most team member as well. uh, who do you need to tell? Of course, your team member, team lead, and the postgraduate resident on call or your medical officer on call must be informed and must be, say, involved in the management process. How will you do this? You can equipment, of course. All you need is a BP apparatus and stethoscope, thermometer, and that's all, right? Sometime you might have to have, if your patient is catheterized, so the measurement of that may require. So equipment is not needed. Labs, the only thing which can add on to it, and which is important from the COVID point of view, is monitoring their oxygen saturation through pulse oximeter, and we do have these pulse oximeter readily available on floor. So this I'll just in a moment tell that how this aids in identifying or having some kind of a modified Muse score, particularly in the COVID situations or particularly in hypoxic patients. This is what I was talking about. This is the Muse being, say, further modified with the addition of two more parameters, that your patient's oxygen saturation and whether your patient is on oxygen or not on oxygen. So normal oxygen saturation on pulse oximeter has to be more than 96%. So someone between 94, 95 saturation on room air would be having score of 1. Someone having this 92 to 93 address score of 2 added to it, and less than 91, or that would be score 3. Similarly, if your patient is maintaining oxygen saturation of above 96 without oxygen supplementation, the score is 0. But if he is on oxygen supplementation and is maintaining that saturation uh, on oxygen, then it would be scored as 2. So the same very observation of respiratory rate, oxygen saturation, uh, oxygen supplemental added to it, temperature, systolic blood pressure, heart rate, and level of consciousness. So you have two more say things added, and this would again help us in identifying the patient who are at risk of developing into say need for a critical care area movement. This is again a threshold triggers that someone who is on floor and is new or mu score of 0 and his total aggregate of total score is between 1 to 4, that patient is at low risk and can be monitored on the floor. But someone with a score between 5 to 6 or any single parameter having a score of 3, which is, we again repeat the single parameters, which is the pulse, respiration, or blood pressure, or a urine output. So if any one of that has a score of 3 or a total score of 5 to 6, he is a medium risk patient, and this patient have triggering of a more frequent recording of these physical signs, and then he would be placed in an high dependency unit. Now, someone who has gone on to have an aggregate score of 7 or plus, that is a high risk patient. This patient, of course, in addition to more frequent observation of vital signs, maybe half hourly, should be placed in a critical care unit, and the all the systems being activated to have a more close observation and whatever intervention is required. So what do you need to do is that you measure and record score for each of the 6 physiological parameters, aggregate the scores, add to if any of use of supplemental oxygen is needed to derive the final new score, and the new scores define and record whether escalation of clinical care is required or is it urgently required. Uh, the competencies of clinical review are required, the frequency of monitoring is required, and then what would be the most appropriate clinical setting for ongoing critical care, like the patient needs to be shifted or transferred to uh, the next unit. This is the kind of the chart which can be made, or you can simply uh, take help from the nurse's notes or the initial morning report, and then you can convert it into uh, once again, if the new score is 0, the frequency of monitoring has to be 12 hourly, and the patient can be observed on the floor. 1 to 4, frequency observation has to be 4 to 6 hourly, and you have to inform your senior. The total of 5 or any increase of say 3 score in any of the parameters increase the frequency observation to 1 hourly, and then you urgently inform the medical team caring for the patient. If score is 7 or more, then continuous monitoring of vital signs is required, and this patient must be transferred to critical care area. Uh, an emergency assessment of by the clinical team with the critical care say competencies must be made, and this patient should be placed in an intensive therapy units. That's all for this component. We'll be having another video being recorded, which would be in context of management of COVID, and that would shortly be uh, uploaded on YouTube as well. Thank you for watching.